Recently, I was hanging out with my friend and her father. And after her father left, I said, "You have such a wonderful father." And she turned to me and said, "What, you think he came like this? I had to train him." We have this myth that children are the naughty ones, when actually, children are remarkably rational, given what we know about their brain and behavior development. You probably don't know this, but during childhood and adolescence, kids go through one massive reorganization of their brain after another. And each one of these reorganizations is necessary before they're able to move on and achieve a more sophisticated level of understanding and behavior. So, kids, you actually have an excuse for your so-called naughty behavior. But parents, tell us, what's your excuse? The behavior expert, Professor John Gottman, has done research with parents and their kids, and he found that only some parents are effective at dealing with their kids' emotions and coaching them towards more effective behaviors, but many parents are not. So, if kids are behaving in appropriate ways given their age and brain development, and many parents are not behaving at a fully mature level for adults, who are the naughty ones? I'm a Harvard-trained developmental psychologist, and I see parents behaving in naughty ways almost every single time I leave the house. The kids look outraged at the behavior they're being subjected to, and I agree with them. So, kids, this talk is for you. Here are 10 ways for you to deal with your naughty parents. Let me emphasize that this talk is for those of you who have well-intentioned parents who sometimes do naughty things. This talk is not for those of you who are experiencing neglect or abuse, because this can actually make things worse. If you're experiencing neglect or abuse, I encourage you to contact the child support hotline in your area or talk to a trusted adult. Let me also stress that you need to have empathy and patience when dealing with your naughty parents, because they've not been trained to do this, and most of them find this one of the most demanding and exhausting jobs on the planet. It's not easy being a parent, but that does not mean your old dog parents cannot learn new tricks. Okay, so here we go. Number 1. Tell your parents that they're your role models for life. As they say, monkey see, monkey do. Humans, like animals, learn from watching their parents. Our brains have something called mirror neurons. So what we observe is actually mirrored in our brain. We don't learn nearly as well from what we hear. So if your parents say to you, "Do as I say, not as I do," they're living in la la land. It's not like that, naughty parents. So, let your parents catch you staring at them and watching their every move. This may creep them out, but it will make them more conscious about the fact that they're actually your role model and you're learning new behaviors from them. Then, use the new behaviors you're learning as soon as possible with other people. For example, if your teacher is saying all this confusing stuff in school, yell out, "You're doing my head in, lady," and then very quickly say, "I learned that from my dad." You need to give full, enthusiastic, and public credit to your parents for all these new behaviors you're learning. Number 2, reward your parents for all their good behavior. Psychologists call this positive reinforcement. When you praise your parents, you encourage them to do more of the good things you love. But there is a right way and a wrong way. Don't praise them for things that they are. For instance, "You're so handsome," or "You're so beautiful," because they can't change these things. No, what you do is praise them for what they do, that you want them to do more of. For example, thank you for helping me with my homework, Mom. Or, that was very tasty spaghetti you made, Dad. Be sure to praise your dad every time he does more cooking or cleaning, because if successful, your mom will give you a lot of credit for that. Number 3, avoid giving your parents negative attention. A lot of kids think that it's best to punish their parents for their naughty behavior by doing something like having a major temper tantrum. But this is wrong for 2 reasons. 1, it doesn't tell your parents what's good behavior, and number 2, it gives them attention for bad behavior. And as we know, most parents crave a lot of attention. No, what you do is, when they misbehave, say something like this: I'm really disappointed by the way you're behaving right now. You're my role model and my hero, and I expect so much more from you. So I'm going to go to my room and let you think about what you've just done. And when dinner is ready, call me, and we'll talk about how you should behave in the future over your tasty spaghetti. And then go to your room and play Nintendo while your parents wonder what the heck just happened. Score! Thank you. Number 4, when your parents are tired or hungry, or nervous or upset, or they've been drinking wine or beer or schnapps, just leave them alone and give them space. In circumstances like these, even good parents are more likely to snap and lose control and lash out. We call this regression. They regress backwards and become little kids again. You think I'm kidding? This is what's happening in your mom or dad's brain. They have become a 3-year-old. And let's be clear, if they act out by hitting, pinching, biting, pulling hair, pushing, kicking, screaming, name-calling, or anything like that, then they have become a 1 to 2-year-old. We expect kids to use words and not physical or emotional violence by the age of 3 or 4. So when your parents become a toddler again, just give them space and go someplace else, call your friends, do something fun, until literally your parents come to their senses and morph back into an adult. And again, if you're at all overwhelmed or abused or feeling in danger, contact the child support helpline or call a trusted adult. Number 5, there's a certain type of parental naughtiness that a lot of kids are having to deal with today: addiction. I'm talking about smartphones and tablets. I've seen many parents who have been so engrossed in their phone that their kids could be snatched from the street, sold to the circus, trained to be a trapeze artist, and achieved international stardom before their parents even noticed. So, if this is happening to you, this is what you do. If you're out in public and your parent is over their phone like this, and they're not even noticing whether you're there or not, look around and find some kind-looking stranger and go up to them and say, "Excuse me, please, but have you seen a really big woman, maybe 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, with dyed black hair and penciled eyebrows? She answers to the name Carol Matthews, or Cuddle Cakes when she's alone with my dad. I can't find her. Can you help me find my mom?" And when this kindly stranger reunites you with your mom, and she says, "But I was here all along," you say, "But you disappeared," because that's exactly what your naughty mom just did. Number 6. If your parents are naughty on a regular basis, and many of them are, then it's time to ask for a code of conduct. Get a manual on parenting, let's say Parenting for Dummies, and start reading it in front of them. They'll either be curious or a little bit scared by this. Then say to them, I think it would be a great idea if we had a family code of conduct so I can be the best child I can be. Then let your parents come up with a bunch of rules first. And using positive reinforcement, say to them, those are great rules, but I'm having a hard time remembering all those rules. I'm thinking, you're my role model, so maybe we only need one rule, the you first rule. Whatever you want me to do, you do it first, and I'll follow, because you're the leader of the family. Good parents will see the beauty of this arrangement, but naughty parents may see this as a trap, because if they follow the rules, you follow the rules. If they break the rules, you break the rules. But hey, all's fair in love and war, as some old guy said. Number 7, if your parents are feeding you a lot of sweets, fast food, junk food, or processed food, then it's likely they are the ones who are responsible if you're suffering health problems, bad teeth, or mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Did you know that these foods are more likely to make you irritated, frustrated, aggressive, and even violent? Did you know that these foods are addictive and linked to obesity? You didn't know that your parents are drug dealers who are making you sick, fat, and depressed, did you? Your parents should be feeding you a plant-based diet full of nutrients to keep you happy and healthy. So what to do? Well, you could be like a cat and find other families that are willing to feed you appropriately. Or you could go on a hunger strike. Maybe the best thing you can do is have a heart-to-heart talk with your parents, starting with 2 key questions. Are you trying to kill me? And don't you love me anymore? Number 8. This is the naughtiest behavior of all. If your parents are like most other adults, they're sitting in their easy chair, reading the newspaper or watching the news and seeing all these fires and floods and tornadoes and storms and ice caps melting and trying their very best to ignore the obvious impact this will have on your future. Grade or mark your parents on the following. Are they recycling as much as possible? Have they installed solar panels in your house? Have they switched to an electric or hybrid vehicle? And most importantly, have they eliminated or reduced meat in the family diet? If your parents are not taking active efforts like these to prevent more global warming and climate change, then kids, you need to take action. Number 1, you need to organize yourselves, either by setting up your own organizations or by partnering with responsible adult organizations like Client Earth or Our Children's Future. Did you know that kids are suing their governments around climate change in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, Colombia, Pakistan, India, and at least 14 other countries? 2, you need to get the right to vote and put people in power who will protect the planet and your future. And last but not least, you need to train those naughty parents of yours to replace their bad behaviors, like shopping and over-consuming, with good behaviors, like gardening and planting trees. Number 9, if all of these efforts just are failing to work and your parents are continuing to be naughty, then do what artists have done down throughout history and turn all of that pain and suffering inflicted on you by your parents into art. Make a film, or better yet, a documentary. Write a novel or short stories or poetry. Compose sad songs, write tragic plays. Become a stand-up comedian and tell funny stories about your crazy family. Put on a purple wig and granny glasses and give a TED Talk. The beauty of doing these things is that they're great practice for when you have romantic relationships, because you didn't think all this naughtiness was going to end with your parents, did you? Number 10. This is probably the most important advice of all. Don't put all your eggs in the parent basket, or any other basket for that matter. Your parents are not able and are not meant to be everything to you. Develop a lot of relationships with many people, and choose to spend time with those people who create a positive emotional environment and make you feel good about yourself. There's one person that many people find is especially important in this regard. Someone who dotes on them and makes them feel special and gives them unconditional love and support and regard without expecting anything in return. Do you know who that is? It's their grandmother. So, spend time with your grandma or granny or nana or no-no and bask in her special love and nurturing. But if your grandmother turns out to be naughty, not nice, then tell Santa Claus, because I think this is a major violation of the laws of the universe. To end this talk, I want to share a quote from that brilliant actress Michelle Williams, who said, "Don't settle. Don't settle for something that feels like a prison, or is hard, or hurts you. If it doesn't feel like love, it isn't love." So kids, go forth and train your naughty parents to be the loving and effective parents they should be, and have a great life. Thank you.